3 years ago, a musician called Bones Writer came up with an original idea, something that had not been done in Second Life yet. He created a system where people could come to a central area called Trax and listen to music from many, many artists, book them or buy their music. Bones Writer is also a talented blues player in both worlds, real life and Second Life. Please welcome for a second time to the Tonight Live studio, Bones Writer. Welcome to Tonight. Hi. Now, we were going to get you to play, but you told us that, you didn't have any songs under 10 minutes, so...
3 minutes.
Movements 1, 2, and 3 all had to be played. But, Bones, I really wanted to talk to you about some of the things that's happening in Second Life with music at the moment, and maybe talk about some advice to musicians that are in Second Life and new musicians. First of all, tell us what's been happening at Trax lately. Since the last time we talked to you, has it been expanding, getting bigger?
It changes. I see a lot of people. A lot of people come and go here. We see. I've seen a lot of new, very talented musicians kind of coming in recently, and some of the other not so talented musicians leave, and it's a changing landscape there. It's been getting more popular. I have noticed. I think we're up to around 1,700 live performing musicians now in Second Life. So,
wow. And do you know what the reasons are that people leave, Bones? Has people told you why they leave? Is there a common thread there? Like, they get frustrated with the platform, or is it?
I mean, I think like most people in Second Life who leave, it has to do with a little bit of drama, probably some relationship issues, but on a music level, it's probably because it's a very tough it's tough for people to really kind of come in here and just instantly, make a bunch of Lindens. I mean, we have a lot of people who come in who just have always wanted to be a singer. And so they come in here and they sing, and it gets down to the quality of what they're doing. The better musicians are the ones that seem to are here still, and some of the musicians who are not that adept and were still young in their art have left because they probably found that they wouldn't get a lot of work, and they didn't get a very big fan base, and so I think that has a lot to do with it. It is the quality of what, and it's getting more competitive because we're getting a lot of really talented people coming here now.
You think some people come in and they just want to role play being a rock star or a musician?
Yeah. No, I think I think we've seen a couple of those people, but really, I think most of the people here really, they really want to, I don't think it's really a role play thing. I haven't really seen a lot of that. Yeah, I think people are really, taking a shot at being a musician, or they're already a musician and they want to, build international fan base, or they want to promote their website, or, they've got aspirations of becoming a Second Life, superstar. I don't know. I think there's all sorts of different reasons why people come into Second Life, and music is no different.
What do you think the essentials are for a musician to get regular gigs in here and to build a fan base? What do they really need, both technically and, I guess, musically?
Well, I think if they're accomplished, obviously, if they're playing really good music and they're really good at what they do, they'll probably find a fan base for it. I've also noticed that even people who are not really great, or they haven't been singing their entire life, if they have fun. Second Life's a real social place, and people like to have fun here. And I think that, I've gone to shows where maybe a musician isn't, the greatest, technically proficient musician, but they're playing tunes and they're having a good time, and everybody else is having a good time with them, and they have big fan base. So yeah. I think that's probably more important. It's a combination of entertainment and what they're playing. I think cover artists, people who are playing tunes that you can sing along to, seem to do really well here. Really good original musicians do well. It's a real mixture. There's a lot of good karaoke singers here who do really well. So, people who come in and sing with Trax and people who play. I mean, it's a really there's a real variety.
And what is the sort of advice that you give people when they come to Trax and they're looking to start up? Do you help them with getting their equipment together, as in virtual equipment, getting a good guitar and an animation and their look, and as well as their streaming and how they might do that as well?
Well, I really try to help them with what I try to explain how everything works, how a stream works in Second Life. How does your music get from your computer into Second Life? And then I give them links to download free programs. I'll talk to them about the equipment that they do or don't have. And I talk a little bit to them about, just getting everything plugged in so they're actually sending the sound into Second Life. And of course, it's all based on, the quality of what you put in to what comes out of your computer. It's like garbage in, garbage out. If you're singing in a scratchy PC microphone through your speakers and you're sending that into Second Life, that's what you're going to sound like. Whereas there are a lot of us
sound
who
like
have
Simon Cowell off American Idol when you say that garbage in.
Well, it's true. It's true. If you have if you have halfway decent equipment and a mixer and you've got a little reverb and EQ and compression, all of a sudden your sound sounds great here. But, so I try to really, help people, I find out what it is that they have, what it is that they want to do. As far as getting them set up and their AVs set up, I try to stay out of that. I mean, I'll tell people where there's music stores and that they can search for animations. But usually what happens is when somebody comes in as a musician, they'll usually be inundated by people who are more than happy to tell them that they need to change their look and their clothes.
And on that, Bones, what advice would you give musicians who are being approached by so-called agents or managers and they don't know whether this person is legitimate? What should they be looking for?
I mean, I guess the only reason really to they're really, like in anything, they're really good agents and there's really bad agents. I guess in my eyes, for a musician who comes in here and wants to work a lot, getting an agent can be really helpful if the agent books the dates, takes care of all of the communications, sends out all of the group notices, goes to the show and hoots and hollers for the artist, and does all of the footwork, posts everything in the events, makes sure the venues post things, they post it in their personal calendar, and they really do kind of like their combination of a manager agent. And I think the ones that really do a good job at it are really helpful. It's just that I don't think they, a lot of them, I think those are the things that you have to look for. Just somebody who's going to say, I'll get you a gig at a tips only club isn't really worth it. I mean, they really need to do a bunch of different things. Otherwise, you can just do it yourself,
Yeah. I'm always surprised that we don't get more agents or managers contacting us here at the show, pitching their musicians.
Yeah.
I spend, was it Saturday? I think I went around to about 50 gigs, just hopping around, seeing different things. And I would imagine, because I've had a manager in here before, that if you're a good manager, that you'd be looking for all sorts of opportunities to get your artist seen by the largest amount of people, whether it's on a television show or radio or in a magazine or whatever.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very good point.
Yeah, rather than otherwise, if they're just fielding calls or whatever, they're really just a booking agent rather than a manager. And I don't know that a lot of people know the difference between the two, I guess.
Well, an agent really is just going out and getting you work, and a manager is trying to really manage your exposure here in Second Life, and like you just said, a good manager would be doing exactly that. They'd be looking to get you booked everywhere and to actually, work on your promotion and, because really a booking agent is just that. They just basically book dates. But it seems like some people here, it's a thin line between what they do. Some are, I think most musicians here just really want somebody to handle all of that business side for them, so they get the dates, they keep track of it, they make sure they're there, everything's set up.
I think artists and musicians are often the worst at promoting themselves, because that's not it's not what they do. They play music and they perform, and I mean, I absolutely hated negotiating with venues and stuff because I just felt too kind of awkward about it. Oh, book me. I'm fantastic. I'm great. I mean, I know people do that, but being in Australia, no.
It's true. There's nothing like it's very difficult for an artist to go around and say how great they are. I mean, there's nothing like having somebody else say, you've got to book this person. They're great. Yeah, but also, it's a new world. The music and forget Second Life, just the music business alone. It's a new industry, and it's a tough business these days. And I think as an artist, we're foolish not to be creative with this amazing medium of the internet and these 3D worlds. And as an artist, we really should be really dreaming and being more creative with this, because the ability for us to promote our own careers is now in our own hands. The days of having, a huge, walking around with your hair down to your butt with your $1 million in a briefcase from your last record deal are over. I think it's now really, the industry has really, really changed dramatically. And I think this is where the opportunity is for us as independent artists to actually manage and build our own careers, but we need to kind of be involved.
I find that you're absolutely right. And I do find it very frustrating, because a lot of the guys that, I work with over here in Australia aren't connected like that. And the ones that are the ones that are working. And it's very difficult for them, particularly the older jazz musicians that I work with, to figure out how it's all done. Because as you said, there's not a lot of jazz record companies over here anymore. It's probably just one or two. And it's really difficult for them to get their head around the whole social networking thing. And some of them I've noticed are on Facebook now, but they're not very active. So.
Well, really, that's the great thing about
push them to get on Facebook.
That's the great thing about Second Life, and the difference between Second Life and a MySpace or Facebook page or even a website. Those three things, you're a needle in a haystack, and it's very difficult to kind of reach out. You're a hit and miss based on somebody else hearing your music and sending a link to your site. Where here, we're really interacting with other people, and people get to hear us as artists, and we get to talk to them. And the social aspect, it's kind of like it was years and years ago when we played little coffee houses. It's a much more intimate way of promoting and marketing your music, and that's the really cool thing about Second Life is, even if there's only 5 people at your show, you're playing your music for 5 people who are there who can talk to you, unlike a web page. And I think musicians have a great opportunity to expose their music and try different things here, and definitely beat out a lot of the stuff that goes on a MySpace page or a Facebook page, which is really difficult. You just kind of fall into the cracks when you have one of those. There's just so many of them.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So
thank you very much for being our guest, Bones. And if people want to find Trax, it's Trax. Just search for it and you'll find it, and go out and take a listen. It's really great to go out to those listening booths and to hear all the different artists out there. You'll find and discover people that you wouldn't normally be able to. That's where I get half my artists from, Bones. I go out there about once every 6 weeks and I do the rounds. I go from one booth to the other, listening and writing down names. So it's actually been a fantastic resource for me, and I know it is for a lot of venue owners and people that are really interested in music. Thank you very much, Bones.
Thanks, Paisley.
Up next, What is a hipster? Why be a hipster? Fun facts about looking cool and nonchalant from the very popular blog Slipsters. Leica St. Louis and James Schwartz are up next.
The Georgia Institute of Technology is seeking experienced Second Life participants from the Washington, D.C. area for a study about real-world personality and avatar behavior. Compensation will be offered and any identifying information will be kept confidential. For more information, contact virtualworldstudy@gmail.com or I am Rex Romanos.
Learn Spanish at Instituto Español, the Second Life leaders in Spanish language education. Moria Style has everything a fashionable woman needs to be glamorous, elegant, and stylish. Moonshiner's Daughter, where friends come to meet and to meet new friends. The top brand in men's formal fashion, Styles of Edo.